Hi, everyone. Wonderful to connect with you again. And I'm also going to be on one of my favorite subjects, which is water. I'm going to be introducing you in a moment to a wonderful man called Randy Hatton. And he has a very different take on water, which I really love. But because this is an astrology channel, I always like to put some astrological context to it. And I think water is going to have an immense amount to teach us in the coming years. And I think Randy will be very much part of that, because we have Saturn and Neptune moving through Pisces for the next 3 years. We have Sedna, dwarf planet, 11,400-year orbit. She is moving to her closest point to the Earth over the next 50 years. And although 50 years may seem a long time, it's a drop in the bucket, excusing the pun, if you've got an 11,400-year orbit. And she is the Inuit goddess of the seas, really about deep transformation. And she's coming into prominence not only because of her increased proximity to the Earth, but also she's on the cusp of Taurus and Gemini. And when slow-moving planets are on a cusp of planets, they come into prominence. And also, frankly, at the end of this month, we have the closest, biggest, and hopefully brightest full supermoon of the year in Pisces, ruled by Neptune, Lord of the Sea. So we have an awful lot of water happening in our astrology. So Randy wrote to me a few weeks ago, and generally I have to say I get a lot of people writing to me asking to be interviewed, but partly because of my shortage of time, and partly this is an astrology channel and I want to promote information that's relevant to the astrology rather than a promotion of products. And I'm really quite strict about that. So Randy has a wealth of information to share with us. So just to give him a little bit of background here, we're going to call this the Alchemising of Global Waters, which I think is a beautiful title. And for over 24 years, Randy Hatton has studied the properties of water, principles of sacred geometry, and the effects of frequency-induced technologies. Very interesting. His passion is working with water, integrating ancient wisdom, love it, with multidimensional heart-based technologies to optimize its original vitality. He's an innovator who brings through wisdom from years of trial and error, bridging the world of science and spirituality, something else I love, thus supporting us to raise our consciousness and connection to the spirit of water. I love that phrase, our connection to the spirit of water. We're going to be talking a lot about that. And his goal is to support all life that depends on clean, healthy water to thrive, and assist Gaia in her transformation as well. So the mission of his work, Vibrant Vital Water, is to bring healthy, clean water to people and their environments throughout the world. So he is in service. So many of us here are in service. And he's working with visionary innovators as well, developing leading edge technologies to significantly improve the bioenergetic qualities, something else I'd love to talk about, of water as a foundation for optimal, vibrant health. So, wow, Randy, welcome. Welcome. I'm really going to enjoy this discussion, because you sent me a few short videos of your YouTubes, and I was fascinated actually by what you've discovered, the whole take you have on water. And yeah, so how did you get involved in all of this? Because I understand you were a fisherman for about 20 years.
Yes, actually more than 20. I started when I was 7.
Wow.
And yeah, fishing with my father in the coast of Washington State. And then I moved on to Alaska at a young age and got into the Bering Sea crab fishing. So what is known as the deadliest catch. And I did that for about 20 some years. So anyways, I spent a lot of time on the ocean. 8-10 months of the year I was on the ocean. And the ocean was teaching me things. I was connecting to the spirit of the water. I didn't realize it, but this was what was happening. Wow. And anyway, so that's pretty much where my life started. I, as a little boy, was always playing in water. I was always down the stream and the creek and out in nature. Water so fascinated me as a little boy. And I was just in paradise, just being alone in nature, playing in water.
Wow. So, what made you make the shift from fisherman to this much more spiritual work? Because you talk a lot about really being guided through that shift to where you are now with your work.
Yes. Well, around the age of 26, two shaman teachers showed up in my life, a grandmother Falling Leaves and a grandmother Celia. Grandmother Celia was a curandera from Mexico. And they really rocked my world. And I would not be sitting here talking with you today if it wasn't for them. They shared things with me, taught me things that I would have never believed in a million years. And because of this, their gifts, the things they could do. And Grandmother Celia was amazing at astral projecting. She was an amazing medicine woman. And she just shared some really, really in-depth conversations with me that I was blessed to have, and never asked a dime from me ever, not a dime. Some of those conversations went into, she said, son, you probably don't remember this, but many, many years ago, about 26,000 years ago, when you were in Atlantis, you worked on some very important technologies to literally help out the planet and help out people. And these things that you learned back in that time, you need to remember, because you're going to need to bring them back into this timeline that we're in now. So she says, through meditation, it'll help you to understand and remember some of these things that your soul carries. And she says, you have so many gifts, you can't even imagine. And when she said Atlantis and scientists, and I'm thinking, what do you, no, I'm a fisherman. I'm no scientist. What do you mean? I hadn't even heard Atlantis 26 years ago. I had not even heard of the term Atlantis. And so anyways, that took me down this rabbit hole, in a sense, where I started meditating. And around this time, my girlfriend Sheila brought home a VHS tape of a man named Johann Gronder from Austria, discovered this special water in this cave in Austria. And he realized the water had healing properties. And he come to realize he could put it in a copper jacket, and he could put it in this little stainless steel housing, which was about 4 inches by 4 inches by 12 inches tall. And he put some magnets in there, and any water from any major water supply could run through this unit, and it caused some real magical things to happen to the water. And so when I watched that VHS tape, it really sparked something in me. Most people said, oh, that's just snake oil, hogwash. But something in me said, no, I need to look into this. I'm going to go buy one. I'm going to cut it in half, because I didn't know that there was water. I didn't know any of this stuff, but I learned this later. And I realized water is this sensitive. When a jacket of water, like in a copper jacket in particular, other water runs by it, it shares its informational fields with the other water, just like we are sharing information right now, right? To me, water is no different, basically, than you and I. We share information. We help one another to remember what we already really deep know inside of it. So I was like, wow, if water is this sensitive, all these ideas started streaming through me. What happens when you put water into a vortex? Because I was always fascinated as a boy, like in the end of the bathtub where the water vortex is down the drain at the end. I'd always stay in the bath just to watch that action. My mother's, what are you doing in there, Randy? Well, I like this part of the end of the bath, Mom. You know? Anyways, and I loved it, being in the spiraling water and streams and rivers, being around it. So I'm like, well, what if you do this? What if you put it in a free-flowing vortex? Then I got ideas. Well, what if you combine sound frequencies? What about light spectrums? What about certain crystals? I mean, all of these ideas just started streaming through me. You know, Pam, it was like, wow, where's this coming from? I was out in the garage till 2, 3 in the morning building these different contraptions. And my girlfriend's like, you ever coming in? You're going to go to bed? You know, it's like, I was really, really just something really sparked me. Well, also around this time, Grandmother Falling Leaves gave me an article from the Washington Free Press. And it was showing how many millions of pounds of toxins were being dumped into our rivers, lakes, and streams by big corporations. And they were just getting hand slapped, right? And this lit a real fire under my butt. Grandmother knew what she was doing. She didn't say it to this day, but I know she knew what she was doing. And I was like, I must be a part of this solution here. I don't want to be a part of the problem. Me being a fisherman was a part of the problem, right? And yes, I was catching food to feed the human race, but it was a part of the problem. And I just knew I had to walk away from that, and I had to follow my heart. I moved from Washington State, and I was guided to move to the high mountains here of New Mexico. That was basically 24 years ago. And I've dedicated these years of really doing the homework and research and following guidance from these beings that have been guiding me. This technology it didn't come from me. This technology came through me. It belongs to all of us. It belongs to the planet. And it is heart-based. It's heart-based technology. And it's fifth dimensional. It's not just fifth dimensional. It goes between the fifth and the ninth. It's working more between the fifth and the ninth. And it's ancient. We use something really similar in some of the times of Atlantis and possibly Lemuria, but it's also coming in from the future. So that's what's happening here. So anyways, that's basically where it all got really started. And other beings came in, not in body, to support me along the way. And I won't go into the whole story, but I know for sure the Arcturians, about 12 years ago, started, they were in my field because others could see this. Then about 8 years ago, a woman named Judith Moore shows up in my life. And she calls me. And Judith Moore has wrote several books, and she's a spiritual teacher, teaches many different things. And she called and said, Randy, I'm being guided to do a channel for you. And my mind was thinking, oh, is this woman out to get money from me? You know, she's saying I'm supposed to do a channel. She's calling me saying I'm supposed to do a channel. That's not a common thing that you do. And my mind's saying, oh, she's trying to get money or what? And my guide said, no, she's not trying to get money. She means this from her heart. She's supposed to do this. Accept her offer. So I say, where do you live, Judith? Because I knew she lived somewhere in New Mexico. And she said, where do you live? And she's about 3 hours from me. And she says, but I'm supposed to come to your house. And I have to have a driver drive me because I just had an operation. And I'm thinking, oh, geez, more money. And at this time, I'm broke. I'm literally barely paying the bills. So, but my guides keep saying, don't worry about the money. Tell her to come. So she comes and she sits down, she does the channel, and first thing that comes through, she says, you might not be aware of this, but the Pleiadians have built a base right up here on the mountain. And they built this base specifically related to water. This is why they built the base. The Pleiades know how to create water, is what came for her, right? And this planet is actually dehydrating more than what we realize. Then she also says, she sees these other beings that are like vampiring or energetically taking the water from this planet to their planet. And I know this sounds a little crazy, sounds a little out there, don't get me wrong, but she has no reason to, lie to me about this. And she says, you don't realize it, Randy, but you're working with them. In your dream state, you're working with them. And I know where this is, the Taos Pueblo Reservation. I live inside the Chanted Circle. And the Taos Reservation is basically my backyard here. And the lake they call Blue Lake, which is a starseed portal. It's the Pleiadian starseed portal. They call it the Seven Sisters. Okay. And so I know in my heart and soul, they have also been supporting me and guiding me. But the most important being that's not in body, that started working with me 11 years ago, and I was not aware of this. But 8 years ago, my friend Carol Fitzpatrick offered to do a free channel for me one time. And she says, what came through right away, she says, Randy, there's this being. She is, it's a feminine, but she's very strong. She has a strongness side to her, and she's like all about water. She's all about water. And she is working with you. And then she said her name, but it was close to her name. I had to figure out down the road what her name fully was. And her name is Arima. Okay.
Okay.
So Arima is all about the divine feminine goddess energy, fully helping to bring that back into existence here. She is about alchemy. She's about magic. She's about bringing homeostasis to this planet where needed.
Wow.
Right. So Arima has been the biggest, basically support that I've been receiving. And I thank her so much, because I knew this wasn't coming from me. I knew this was coming from outside sources. So we probably should, move on to the next thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Arima back in down the road here, and what she's guiding me, and the importance of how we can turn all the circumstances around with our waters on the planet.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very important, because I was listening to a chap the other day who's working with water again in a very different way. And he said, when people are tested, 96% of us are dehydrated, despite the amount of water we're drinking. 96%, that's a phenomenal percentage. So you mentioned this combination of ancient wisdom, but also future information, Randy. Can you talk a little bit about the future information that's coming through? Is that really being embedded in the work that you're doing? Presumably it is. Can you talk a little bit more about that and these heart-based technologies?
Yes. So a part of the future aspect of this is that, and this will get into one of the other questions, but we're gonna go there. So I have been thinking for years how we're dealing with a huge level of dehydration in the human race. We're dealing with a massive problem with plastic bottles in our oceans and our land. And just in America alone, in 1 hour, we go through 2.5 to 3 million one-time use plastic bottles in 1 hour, just in America alone. Okay. And this water is not doing us anything. It's not hydrating us. It's been enslaved. It's not been treated with love and respect and honor. You can't expect it to give you life when it's not been treated with love, respect, and honor. So this is a big problem. And we can't all afford a good distiller or reverse osmosis to get the physical contaminants out of our water and a restructuring device. So and my vision is, this comes in from the future. I know it does. We have these, which I'll show you in a bit, similar to what I call Gaia's fountain. In every airport, every school, every government building, every community has a larger version of Gaia's fountain. You go in there, you fill up your 5-gallon jugs with full spectrum, alive water like you would find from like primary water. What I've been guided to create is a resemblance of primary water, the virgin water that we haven't messed up.
Yeah, under the mantle of the earth. Yeah, because I understand there's more of that than in all the oceans of the world, and it's completely pure and unpolluted.
That's correct. But we have to be careful not to go just drilling down and tapping into this primary water. We need to raise our consciousness, and with water, we need to learn to realize it's the source of all life. It's the mother of all life, right? We have to treat
water. By molecular count, we're 99% water. So we are water. We are water beings. We're liquid crystals, aren't we?
Yes, we are. That's exactly right. We are liquid crystal beings. And the more we're able to put this liquid crystal water into our bodies can make this. That's known as easy water, right? But as we age, it's harder for us to make this. So it's important that we start copying nature's way and drinking this type of water that's basically has the gases in it. Gases are so important in our waters that we've way overlooked. We've way overlooked it.
But this could bring our health back, yes? This can
Yes,
give us aging, bring us much better health, longevity, all through going back to what nature intended and produced.
I actually believe it goes beyond that. When you really understand alchemy and water, we can create water literally that will kill cancer cells.
Yeah.
And I know that's a bold statement, but the time will come to get into a lab and validate this, because I really feel this. When you understand that one molecule of water carries up to 440,000 bits of information.
Phenomenal.
It's I mean, and there's 6 trillion in one drop molecules, right? I mean,
yeah, I remember you saying that, and I could not believe it. 6 trillion molecules in one drop of water, not million, not billion, trillion. I mean, that amount of information is mind-blowing in one drop of water.
We are just scratching the surface of understanding the true depth and power that water carries.
So is water one of the principal ingredients that is raising our consciousness potentially, Randy, and leading us into New Earth?
In my belief system, yes, it is. And how I believe it's happening is because water and magnetism is what connects everything together.
Yes, because we are electromagnetic beings.
Correct.
Yeah, and the healthier we are, the stronger our electrical charge, as I understand it.
That's correct. And so the key to the times we're in my belief, is that we must purify our internal waters, because as we do this, we are purifying the Earth Mother's waters. We are supporting purifying everybody else's waters. This is how we're connected, through water. This is why I leave these devices running 24/7 around the clock, because I know what they're doing. I know what they're doing for the Earth Mother to process toxins and chemicals. I know what's going on. And I know this because of people showing up in my life. When they walk up, about 15 people over 24 years, only 15, but 15 roughly, they say the exact same thing. When these technologies are running, they go way down into the earth, they go way up in the atmosphere, and they literally clean the air. They're changing the molecular structure of the vapor that's in our atmosphere, because in our atmosphere, we have like a sea of ocean up there.
Yeah, for sure. In the plasma, there's liquid there too, ice crystals, etc. in the plasma dust, the interstellar dust. So we are just one fractal of the cosmos, with this flow of water through us, out of us, back into us, etc. We're just part of the flow of water. That's why it's so absolutely vital to get this right. And magnetism is a huge part. Copper, as I understand, has also been very deficient in our soil of late, and you're probably very aware of electroculture, where you stick copper rods in your vegetable patch and it amplifies the electromagnetic field, and you get much better crop yield. So copper, magnetism are crucial parts of this, as you know way better than I do, to regenerate the water that we're drinking.
Yes, some of the first basic 3 things that I discovered. So after the grandmothers told me, I made a few devices, and they could see these things happening with the water that I couldn't see. Some really, what they said, very special things. So it really inspired me, because I know they wouldn't lie to me. So then I went to a place called BEST, Bioenergetics Greening Team in Seattle, Washington. And I took some of this vortex spun water in there, and I did a test with a woman named Patricia. It's with an electrodermal device. And I'll try to keep it short, but she does the test beforehand on me, like 12 different things she tested. And then she had me hold the water just between my legs, not even drink it, and retest me. And when she retested me, she looks over at me and she says, "Wow, where did you get this water?" And I said, "Well, I made it in my garage." I'm not really telling anybody right now. And she says, "Can I buy this water from you?" I said, "Yeah, you can have it, Patricia. It's a gift." She said, she pulled the printout. She shows what just happened to me on these different parameters, where I had some heavy metals. I was up to 89, 90. You want 50. You want 50. That's balance. That's what you want. I had lung issues, like down to 40. Overall, it wasn't too bad. I had the parasite stuff going on. But when I held the water, these parameters went close to 50. And she was like, wow, this is what I do for a living. I program informational fields into solutions and give it to people to help them bring them homeostasis. And that's basically what this water just did for you. So that's when I knew the universe had me onto something. And then she said, too, she said, you see this little copper ring? I said, yeah, what's it for? What do you do? She said, well, I've learned this little copper ring, it does a lot of different things, but putting it around water in your water bottle really supports the energy of the water. So at that point, I didn't think much of it, but here we are 5 years later, I meet Slim Sperling. Slim Sperling is the founder of these technologies with these rings. And very clear, when you combine those tensor rings with a designer array of magnets, and the magnets are hitting the water where the water goes from centripetal force to centrifugal, right? That's the 0 point. And when we hit this with an array of electrons, and like a North Pole magnet, the electrons come out in a clockwise spin, South Pole counterclockwise spin. And when through doing different Kirlian photography tests with Grandmother Falling Leaf, she had the real old Kirlian photography with the Tesla coil and the Instamatic camera. And I had all these different magnetic arrangements to understand, well, what do we do? All North Pole inwards, all South Pole, all, there's a variety of arrangements that I had set up on these prototypes. And by having people drink the water, take a test, we would find out how much it improved the biophoton energy that was coming out of them, right? So that determined how to make the best arrangement pattern. But over the years, like one time, a woman came up to me and I'm at a little health expo. And I said, the simplest thing to have healthy water, I put one of the VMEs in her hand. It's just a small little device with magnets in it. I then put one of the tensor rings over the top of the VME in her hand, and she like kind of shakes. And I'm like, what's wrong? She's like, whoa. She says, I can feel this energy. It's like going up my arm. It's going around my body. I said, like, does it feel good? Does it feel bad? What? She said, no, this is nice. This is like, she's like, wow. I take the ring back off. She said, yeah, I can still feel the vortexing of energy going through my hand. But when I put the ring back on, it super amplifies it. So what she helped me discover and understand is clearly when you combine these tensor rings with this array of magnetism, they amplify, they support one another. It's a really simple way. But then when you have the free-flowing centripetal interwinding vortexes going through this energy, it's a really simple way, but powerful way to transform our water into structured water.
And so fast. I mean, like really fast. You can change the qualities of water, but you can improve the health of the person. Just in passing, copper is related to Venus astrologically, and magnetism is related to Uranus. And for those of you who study astrology, that you will know that we're in a series of squares of Venus to Uranus. So it's interesting having this conversation at this time. And Uranus, of course, is in Taurus, which is all about the magnetism of the Earth, and that's teaching us in a way that you're sharing right now, Randy. So what was happening to the aura on the Kirlian photography with people who held the water samples or drank the water samples? What was happening?
So some of the magnetic patterns weren't really enhancing their photon energy much at all.
Okay.
But it narrowed down to this one specific pattern and arrangement, enhanced them. But where I want to go is next is down the road, many years down the road. And GDV shows up into my world. GDV stands for gas discharge visualization. Okay, it's a device out of Russia from a man named Kortkov Konstantin. And what happened at a Health and Holistic Expo, one of the guys who brought the GDV there, I knew the man. He lived in Taos, New Mexico, Krishna Madhapa. And basically, Krishna says, hey, if you got any time, have somebody test. We'll test the water from your Gaia's fountain, right? So I'm like, well, sure. So it's early in the morning. A woman shows up. I said, you don't have any extra little free time, do you? Would you be willing to do a test? She says, well, yeah, I'm actually kind of just killing time waiting for my flight out of Albuquerque. I said, go over to that booth over there and do a test with them. And then when you're done, come back over and drink a little bit of water from this fountain, and then go back over and do another test. That's what they told me. So she does this. The things start getting busy and a lot of people start showing up, and I'm talking water. I'm back in this day. This was like 18 years ago. This is before anybody knew about Mashirimoto. Yeah. And I'm literally promoting Mashirimoto's work, right? The messages of water. I got the books out. I'm selling the books. I'm talking about his work. And a lot of people are like looking at me like, what are you talking about? Water is conscious. Water, it can change that. You know, not many people were really open to it. But when the What the Bleep Do You Know came out, that's when, oh, Mashirimoto, that's when he got really recognized and become, you know, so his work is really, really important. But back to the test, around 1 o'clock, Krishna comes over and says, Randy, you want to come over and take a look at this test? And I said, okay. And one thing the woman said, I said, you haven't done anything unique this morning yet, have you? She says, well, I just did do a session on this biomat over here. I'm like, well, you know, so what, whatever, okay. But she had just had a session on the biomat. But she did the testing after she did the biomat. She then comes over, drinks the water. Krishna shows me this. So what GDV measures is, it measures your biophoton energy field, the energy field that emits off of our body, and where it may be weak, where there may be holes in it, or where, and see how strong it is too. It measures your chakra systems, how in align the chakra is or how out of align the chakra is. It measures how strong the chakra is or how weak it is. And it measures your right and left brain hemisphere. Okay? It measures if you're in the sympathetic state or the parasympathetic state. And it can also measure real-time imagery of one drop of water on the plate of the photon energy coming off of that water. How much burst of photons are coming off of that water. You can put a Sputnik on it and measure the energy in a room also. So Krishna says, him and Dr. Sam Burns, we've been working with this for about a year, Randy, and we've never seen this big of shift take place from anything we've ever tested. Look at what happened to her biophoton field before and after. Look at what happened with her right and left brain hemisphere. And this is the key part of this. Is the brain hemisphere is a really key. It enhanced her chakras. It put chakras back into alignment. But this is what I've learned from this. Water supports us more than just on our physical level.
Oh, for sure.
Okay. But in this case, when we're drinking full spectrum, what I call full spectrum water, it's supporting us to come into the balance of our masculine and feminine, because that's what balancing the brain hemispheres do. This is the power of structured water. It supports us, and this is the key to self-realization and ascension, in my opinion. We are androgynous beings. We are in masculine and feminine bodies, but overall, we're actually androgynous beings. And when we step into that divinity of who we really are, we start really waking up and realizing so many things. So I won't go down the road any farther than that, but I needed to really share about this, because this really, it made me know that, wow, it's all about, really, again, back to copying nature's way, giving water love and respect. And that's what I do. I create shrines for water. I give it love and respect, and it reflects that back to me and everybody and who's using it.
Yeah, it's just a feedback loop, isn't it? And it's so interesting because it's interesting moving into this Aquarius energy, which, although it's an air sign, of course the symbol is, the glyph is the water bearer. So that's another aspect of this. So but also what you're talking about here is really not a gender thing, but it's the rise of the divine feminine. So it's balanced much more with the divine masculine, and that's what you're really talking about. But going back earlier in our conversation, Randy, you were talking about water operating at anywhere between the 5th dimension and the 9th dimension. Can you talk a bit about that? Because that sounds like it's leading our consciousness.
Well, I have not really. Adima is the one who has brought this to my attention, right?
Okay.
And this has happened more recently, just in this last 2 years. I have been getting more and more divinely guided by her. So when I asked her, this technology, I know it's fifth dimensional, because I've had people come up to me and say, they're looking at Gaia's fountain, like, this is fifth dimensional heart-based technology. I mean, like, they're telling me, like, people that are really sensitive to energy, right? And I'm like, wow, I've never even thought about that, but yeah, okay, right. And it also, anyway, so I cannot really elaborate right at this moment about the importance of this being from the fifth of the to the fifth of the ninth. But what I do feel is this: we know that we're moving into this new place of much more peace, love, and harmony, right? This more of a fifth dimensional reality. We have access to this fifth dimension. It's accessible now to us. And the Earth Mother is also going through her ascension process into this also with us, right? So the more that we can, well, for the first thing that Adima has guided me, and I need to share, and that is, it's really important that we do our best to get out of our heads.
Yeah, into our
And
hearts.
move down into our hearts. And the reason for this is because the Earth Mother's frequency, the Schumann resonance, is going up, right? And the more that her frequency goes up, if we don't get out of our heads more and move more into our heart space, we will have a really hard time being here.
Yep, I understand that. Yep. Yep.
Okay?
Yeah, because the Aquarius energy can be kind of it can be very high vibe mentally, like interference on a television set, which is not equivalent to peace and harmony. So that can be a shadow side of Aquarius. So that's why in almost every video, I'm talking about this: stay in your heart, stay in love, expand your consciousness. It's absolutely vital. So we're in a feedback loop with the water, we're in a feedback loop with the Earth's ascension at the same time, because we live on the Earth. So we've got to go with her, or leave at this stage, haven't we, to keep to be in harmony with that frequency. So yeah, so how does your knowledge really help how we can alchemize the water and neutralize the chemicals and metals out of the global waterways? Is that through the kind of vortex technology as well, Randy?
Okay, so, well, this is what I thought for so many years. I thought that I would need to make these technologies and put them into rivers, lakes, and streams, right?
Yep.
And I actually felt at a place that I was a failure at this. I really came to a place where I had given it my all, and I had run out of all my resources. I'd pulled all the money out of my home that I could, putting it into this. And I really felt like a failure. I did. And I went to a stream one day, and I just sat there with a stream, and I just connected in, and I asked the water, please tell me what you want me to do so I can help you. And please help me to remember what I know. And the water said to me, don't worry about us. You just take care of yourself. You purify your internal waters, and it will all come to you. It will all come to you, Randy. All right? So this was about 5 years ago when I kind of surrendered and gave up. And I started practicing a much more self-love. And the more I practiced self-love, the more things started flowing for me in my life. And basically, about 3 years ago, this is what kind of started it. 3 years ago, again, Carol Fitzpatrick, in a channeling over Zoom, offering a free little channel at the end of the Zoom meeting, says something to me. She says, Randy, you're going to be bilocating technologies in the near future. And my mental mind was like, bilocating technologies. I was like, what is she talking about? I had no clue. Bilocating technology. I don't know. Okay, whatever, Carol, you know. So here we are the next year after this. And Adima starts telling me very clearly, you need to purify your body like never before. I was hearing this also from the Earth Mother. The Earth Mother is saying, Randy, you must purify your body like you've never done before. Because as you do this, you're doing it for me. We are directly connected. We are directly connected. We are directly one. The reason Adima did it, and Adima said, and can I show Pam why I'm talking a little bit of where I was?
For sure. Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so they said, go out into the water. I call it the plasma purification portal. So you have the disabled participant screen sharing. You have to allow me to share my screen.
Ah, right. So let me just see.
So Adima basically
I'll make you the host. I'll make you the host, okay?
Okay.
Yeah, then you should be able to.
So Adima told me you need to go out into the portal and get under the vortex 45 minutes every day. Every day you need to get out here and go into the portal. And so basically this is the what I call a plasma purification portal. So I'm going out in here every day, getting under that vortex. This is basically, well, I won't go into all of that right now. So this is what I did. I went out there every day, pretty much for 2-3 months. I'm purifying, I'm fasting, I'm taking saunas, I'm doing my yoga, dancing, all the things that lift my spirit and purify my body. And basically, I start downloading big information. Big things start coming through. And these things that came through were this. Adima told me, you can bilocate this technology. This technology can be bilocated. It can be bilocated basically 12 times, 12 different locations at once. And what you need to do is you need to call in all those people that you know, get them on a Zoom meeting, have a photograph image of either the river we're working on. We work on the whole river, like the Amazon. We get a whole satellite image of the whole Amazon River, okay? And basically, as we're looking at this image of the ocean or the river, we start reciting what is known as resonance alchemy. This comes from a woman named Catherine Parker. It is a universal light language, okay? It's a universal light language. And we recite. So I dowse, I've been using pendulums for 25 years, taught by grandmother. And I dowse to find out what river do we work on this meeting, this gathering. What ocean do we work on? We work on one river and one ocean each meeting. We recite these syllables. And what the secret to syllables are this. They create a toroidal field. This has been proven by science. They create a toroidal field. So we're creating, as we know, our heart is a torus. The fabric of space-time is a vortex. It's about this. The underlying pattern that permeates our universe is the vortex or the spiral.
Absolutely, 100%. Yeah.
So this was all like, wow to me. It was like, but I followed my guidance. I did my best to follow my guidance. And something that I want to point out. So when you look at this, this is all based on a mathematical formula. It's called basically a hyperbolic cone. And what happens, you can see this Kundalini effect going on here, these bins. And if you measure them, they're literally 1.618 bigger and bigger as they go up. It's showing you universal intelligence being born into this. I put the lifelike rings on the top of this. This one is being, as you've seen, suspended by a pyramid, a copper pyramid. The one in the water portal is a 5-sided pyramid. This was an art piece I would take to different shows. But anyways, I won't go into too much of the science here and now, but what I've come to realize, what grandmother found 25 years ago from just a little VME, what she shared with me when I came back and asked her, what did you discover? One of the things she shared is that you can direct this energy of the vortex to somebody like a prayer. Okay? And you need to be specific of the person's name and what you wanted to do for them. And it's like, yeah, it's a super amplified prayer. And you can also direct this energy through the veil to the spirit world. Well, 25 years ago, I didn't have a clue really of what she's saying other than what she said, but I wasn't really fully getting what she said. Now, Grandmother Falling Leaves was very much into radionics. Okay, she patented the device in 1940. She was into understanding radionics, scalar waves, also known as psychotronics. Well, this is what I've come to realize. When we do this with water, we are creating the most natural and powerful scalar antenna and transmitter. Okay. The speed of this, when you multiply the radius by the speed, it is a mathematical constant. So theoretically, there's an infinite amount of energy going in here. We just haven't realized how to tap in and harness this energy or how to use it. But this is one of the ways. So what Adema told me is that you need to get a vial of the water. You need to get a vial from every location that you're treating. You need to basically have that vial in your hand as you're holding on to it, and have the other person, like if somebody sent me a little bottle from Europe, from the ocean over there or a lake, then they would hand that to me. And as we're working on that body of water, we have that essence of that soul, because what happens is that every river, every ocean, Adema shows me, has a different soul.
Wow.
It has a different soul to it, it's different. So when we have a sample of that water, we're working with its soul. And I bring that sample out in this portal, and it stays out here in the portal, in the water, for as long as we have bilocated this. And we're blessing that water as we're doing these resonance alchemy syllables, repeating them. So we're visualizing, we basically, I'm gonna close this out, but we basically are bringing the water into homeostasis. Everything comes from source. We got to remember this. Everything comes from source energy. Everything returns to source energy. So basically, we are speeding up this process by connecting in with the chemicals and the toxins in the oceans, in the rivers and lakes, where we're sending them resonance alchemy through scalar waves, because that's what resonance alchemy does. It creates a scalar wave. We're coming from our hearts. We're not coming from any agenda of what can we get from anybody or anything that way. And we have just forgotten how really powerful we are. We are creator beings. We are creator god goddesses. And I'm going to close this, but so something we all just need to remember, that we are these powerful beings. When we step into our divinity, we transcend this human limitations that we believe that we are all stuck in. But the real truth is each and every one of us have a unique gift to this planet.
Yeah, for sure.
And when we bring those gifts together and we consciously co-create, magic will happen. And it is happening. And I myself, you know, just a few years back, I would have said, when I'm talking about how we can clean up these waterways and actually do it quite quickly, Pam, I would say this is nonsense. But I know better. This is not nonsense. We have this ability. We just need to believe in ourselves, step into our divinity, find our purpose, really find our purpose, because we all have an important purpose, every one of us.
Yeah.
And when we don't feel we have a purpose, we're pretty much lost souls.
This is so just for everybody. I hadn't ever spoken to Randy before this call, so I had no idea where this conversation was going to go. I didn't know about anything he's really just shared there. But, you know, in many, many videos, you will have heard me say, I don't believe it's going to take decades to clean up the oceans. I said that several times, and I just intuited that it could happen really fast. I don't know why, I just had that feeling. And what you're sharing here, Randy, is a kind of quantum healing on a vast global scale that can turn things around and accelerate the evolution of humanity at the same time. You're acting as a catalyst for the evolution of humanity, because there's constant feedback loop. We can't cut ourselves off from living on Gaia and living in this flow of water. So it's immensely exciting. I'm just quite blown away because, you know, wow, I didn't know where it was going to go. But I can see that so much information is coming into you so quickly, but you are obviously like a lightning rod for this particular set of information in dealing with water and the healing power of water. I mean, you've been specially selected for this role, there is no doubt.
Well, thank you, Pam. And yes, when you learn the art of radionics and scalar waves, so right. this is how it works. When I'm working with a patient and I get a picture of you and I get a sample of your hair, I basically have your crystalline makeup, okay? Yeah. And so I can take that and put it into, I have a device called an SE5 Plus 1000, and I can connect it with your high self, and we can find out where, just basically where you're out of homeostasis. It's not about fixing you or anything that way. It's just finding where you're out of homeostasis, because everything's frequency, energy, vibration, resonance.
Absolutely.
And so basically, I also do this, even though we do this, the big magic is when we come together. You know, I have created the magic stage for the magic to happen, which is we are the magic coming together, doing this, visualizing it, sending our love, sending our scalar waves, changing the frequency, asking the toxins to go back to source energy, transmute it into divine white light, right? And then we, like methyl mercury is another big issue in our oceans and our rivers. And we work with the consciousness of methyl mercury. We ask the methyl mercury, please forgive us humans for our wrongdoing, basically, for ripping this planet apart and disturbing you from where you're from. And this is from all of the mining we've done on the planet. This is what's caused. Mercury by itself is not toxic. It's not so bad. The Dalai Lama actually calls it the semen of the earth. But when methyl mercury hits decomposing matter, it turns into methyl mercury, and it becomes toxic. So we ask the methyl mercury and connect with a consciousness, go back down into the center bar from where it come from, and we see it happening. We ask it, we thank it, we see it happening, going back down into the earth. You know, this is all a hologram. This is all a hologram, and we must realize that. And our minds create our holograms. Our beliefs and our thoughts are we can shift our hologram instantly when we change our belief and our thoughts of what's possible and what's not possible. And
so this is returning to harmony with nature that the ancient peoples understood very well, and we've completely forgotten in our modern lives. And you know, you are absolutely stepping into something massive here, and you know, of course, you know that, Randy. But it is hugely exciting for everybody listening to this, me included, because this is immense work that could turn around a lot of the problems that the world has much more quickly than we ever believed, you know, instantaneously, virtually. So is this what you've just showed, Randy, linked to the Global Water Optimization Group? Talk a little bit about that, because I know that's very, very important piece of your work.
Okay, yes. So the Global Water Optimization Group, I have a nonprofit called Project Clean Oceans that it goes under, right? And basically, I get guided each meeting. Before the meeting, I dowse what river, Adima, do we work on this time? What river, what ocean do we work on this time? I then go through and I dowse to find out which syllables. So I'll give you a little example of a syllable. So like Durlay, Naki, Durlay, Naki. This is for detoxing water, right? Okay. Another one, Akim Kabbalah, Akim Kabbalah. This is for bringing water back to its natural spring state. So whatever I'm guided, which syllables, I put it together, I put the picture together, we come together, we start this with calling in the plasma purification portal deities, okay, which are beings that have been working with me for years, which consist of Sanat Kumara, Lord Maitreya, Babaji, Yogananda, Mother Mary, Kuan Yin, Joshua, Mary Magdalene, the Ascended Masters, Saint Germain, Paul the Venetian, Master El Mourier, Serapis Bey. I call in, of course, Adima, because Adima is a big player in this, and our star brothers and sisters to support us in any way that they can, along with all of the goddesses of water, which there's many of them. I won't go into all of them, but there's many. We call these beings in first because they're part of all this happening. We then go into a quick little deep meditation, and we then start our process and reciting the syllables. The meetings stay under an hour. I do my very best always to keep it under an hour, respecting everybody's time and energy. And the last meeting that I did, the last few meetings, I was guided to overlay also not only bilocate 12 times the plasma portal, but to put down some of the different crop circles also in these locations, because the crop circles are supporting directly the aquifers and the energy in the water underneath where they're at. And we can take images and these patterns and we can overlay them into these places, spreading them out around whatever body of water, through the river, around the ocean. And this is also, from what Adima is telling me, also very much going to support this.
That's so interesting about the crop circles, because of course so many of them appear in southern England, usually on chalk land where there is underground water. So that's a very interesting connection you've just made. Flowing water under the chalk, which is very porous, as you know, it's a form of limestone. Wow, that is phenomenal. So you're really asking people to get involved in this across the world to help these efforts.
Yes, I am. Yes, I am. And those, I have many samples of water already, but people need to contact me before they go taking the samples. And we just need, just like 1 ounce, 2 ounces that you keep, 2 ounces you send to me and tell me where that came from, right? And so now we have that energetic signature. We have that crystalline makeup to be directly work with it. Yeah.
That is just, this is so exciting. It's astonishing. So we're almost up to the hour now, Randy. What, gosh, you've said so much, but what message would you like to leave the viewers with at the end of our conversation here?
Well, the Earth Mother is asking me to ask everybody from my heart, not telling you what to do, anybody what to do, but to do your very best to step up your game on purifying your body. because it's directly supporting her through this process. And we have become, as a human race, quite contaminated. And she needs all the support, and we need this too, so we can step more into our divinity. And so that would be the first thing I'm asking from my heart to yours. Just do your best. If you're drinking coffee 6 days a week, do your best to cut back to 1 or 2. We know the waters of the planet have become acidic, but square miles, miles and miles are dying in the ocean. And a big portion of this is because we've gone acidic. We've become very acidic, right? And nature and the Earth Mother and the waters are merely just a reflection of us. This is what's going on, right? And so anyway, that's one thing. Do your best just to listen to your body and listen to what really lifts your spirit, that lifts your frequency, that lifts your energy. And yeah. And the other thing would be is that really remember, you are so important.
Yeah, thank you so much, Randy. This has been extraordinary.
Well,
Gone way beyond what I expected. And I'm just delighted that, from that email, I picked up your YouTubes and decided to connect with you because, God bless you. You are really serving humanity in a huge way. And I feel quite emotional myself here. So God bless you. I'll put Randy's website below this video so you can go and investigate and help his phenomenal work to really accelerate the evolution of humanity, and extraordinary pioneering work. God bless you, Randy. Thanks so much for connecting, and bye everyone. Love to all of you out there. Thanks for listening.